Hey everyone, Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video. I hope you have, one, warmed up from Tuesday night, and two, calmed down from Tuesday night. It was an excellent win for Norwich City, a convincing win. It could have quite easily been 8 goals in the first half. Instead, it was Norwich 6, Plymouth 1, and it felt like an important victory in the grand scheme of things for this season. We approach and we are now in the run that you would expect Norwich to pick points up from. It's Luton on Saturday, which we'll talk about in today's video. It's then QPR, it's then Portsmouth. They are 4 games that on paper Norwich City should be winning, or at least getting something from, if they want to get anything from this season. And it feels like it's come at a fairly good time, really, because players are starting to return from injuries, suspension, and suddenly when you sprinkle a Kenny McLean in there, when you sprinkle an Angus Gunn in there, the mood, the structure of this team suddenly feels very different. It doesn't take too much to disrupt a run. It doesn't take too much to start a really good run. And there were lots of real positives from that Plymouth game. There were also negatives. I thought we got very complacent for the kind of final 20 minutes of that first half, when really we should have completely put the game out of sight. And thankfully, you know, there was no real drama in the end, but it could have quite easily turned dramatic against a better side. I still thought there were slight midfield issues that we'll touch on going into Saturday's game. But on the whole, it was a really impressive performance. And I said on Twitter, but it was a fun performance. And ultimately, you know, that's why we've grown to really like the football played from Johannes Hoftorp and have grown to really like him as a person, because he has delivered time and time again some really fun, attractive football. And I think as a football fan, you can't really ask for too much more. It's Luton on Saturday, and Luton's an interesting side. I've always been very fond of Luton. I remember Scott Rendell scoring to knock us out of the FA Cup when they were in non-league, and bringing down lots of fans. I've always got on really well with Luton fans. I admire them as a club, and you know, the journey they've been on over the past decade has been absolutely remarkable. And that's why I think the treatment of them from certain people this season has been slightly unfair. It feels like, you know, the expectation for a newly relegated side from the Premier League is, oh, they're just going to bounce straight back. And that's just complete nonsense. It's really tough to do that. It's tough to do that when you're a side that have had multiple parachute payments over, you know, a certain number of years. It's even tougher when you're doing it for the kind of first time. And you know, they were probably overachieved to get promoted there in the first place. They had a really good effort at staying in the Premier League. And so far this season, they have struggled in the Championship. That does offer opportunity for Norwich City. I mean, their away form this season has been absolutely honking. So, I mean, if you look at the kind of last 5 games, then actually Norwich are coming into this with the worst form. But I think there is huge amounts of context to wrap around it. Marcelino Nunes will be returning on Saturday, which is absolutely huge news. He won't be starting. I think Johannes Hoftorp is very conscious that he needs to ease him back in. I think actually the kind of resurfacing of this most recent injury was probably just from really heavy workload. So he needs to be careful with that. He needs to be very careful with that, considering that Liam Gibbs is now going to be out for 10 weeks, which is a huge blow for Liam Gibbs. I mean, what did he come on the pitch for about 5 minutes, ran down the wing for a cross, and the hamstring's gone. And desperate kind of luck for Liam Gibbs, who, you know, is an important kind of squad player, I would say, at this level. He's effective in terms of what he needs to do. And at this stage, Norwich need bodies in the team, and to lose, you know, a ball-winning midfielder for another 10 weeks is desperate luck for Norwich, but more importantly, desperate luck for Liam Gibbs. So I hope that kind of treatment and return to fitness is fast-tracked, because you know, he's lost a lot of game time recently through injury. So the return of Marcelino Nunes, Callum Fisher will be back in the fold after his 1-game suspension due to picking up too many yellow cards. Jose Cordoba unlikely to return on Saturday. More likely to feature at Loftus Road. But actually, I've quite enjoyed the balance of this defence. I much prefer Callum Doyle at centre-back, and I think that allows that to happen when Cordoba is out. I don't mind Ben Crescene at left-back at all. I think he's more than capable at this level. Jack Stacey at right-back has been mightily impressive and certainly provides, a huge engine up and down the pitch, and that suits the way that Johannes kind of plays, and, he wants his full-backs high up the pitch. I think the only risk comes because whether it's Fisher or Crescene are so advanced, and the same with Stacey, Callum Doyle likes to venture forward as well. It does sometimes create opportunities for the opposition to counter-attack. It felt different when Kenny McLean was back in the fold, because then Kenny can kind of drop in and almost become another centre-back, and that kind of alleviates that risk, which I think is absolutely huge. And, we speak about Josh Sargent being out, we speak about Angus Gunn being out. Actually, I think the biggest absence in this whole period has been that of Kenny McLean. I thought the dynamic of the game was so different on Tuesday night with Kenny in there. His ability to move the ball quickly, his ability to kind of orchestrate the tempo of a game, ball winning, just kind of experience around that side, I think is absolutely pivotal. And keeping him fit and keeping him playing, I think is going to be absolutely vital to how Norwich ultimately perform this season. I thought the other massive moment on Tuesday night was Ante Cianat getting a goal. I thought his performance was impressive. I thought he was involved in most of the good stuff that Norwich did. I liked how he kind of drifted from wide inside and vice versa. I thought, him and Emi Marcondes and Borja Sainz linked up really beautifully, actually. And I think there's huge potential with Ante Cianat, and it does feel as if it's going to be a confidence thing with him. There was a moment where he hit the post in the first half, just instinctual left-footed shot across the goal, unlucky not to go in. He's clearly got talent. He's clearly got a wand of a left foot. And actually, the mistakes he's made this season, I think, have just come from a real want to score and just snatching at shots. And I didn't see that on Tuesday. I saw a calmness and a clarity about his game, and that was really pleasing and gives me huge hope that he can fill the void of Josh Sargent from now until the return of Sargent, whenever that may be, probably another month or so as of yet. So Norwich come into this game off the back of a really good performance. Luton will undoubtedly be tougher opposition. I thought Plymouth were probably the worst Championship side to visit Carrow Road in the last decade. I can't recall too many. I remember a Millwall side, when would that have been? Maybe 2014-ish, being pretty bad. But yeah, this was right up there in terms of bad Championship sides. Maybe Scunthorpe in 2010, when Jackson and Holt both scored hat-tricks. But yeah, in terms of, I think there are certain times to kind of cross through the form line of a loss, and there are certain times to maybe cross through the form line of a win. I think Tuesday, it's difficult to take too many kind of stories from that, just because the opposition were so utterly dreadful. But it was an important win for Norwich nonetheless, and will take them into this game with real confidence. Excited to get back to Carrow Road. These are the periods that I really love as a fan of a team in the Championship. Game on Saturday. It's then next Saturday away to QPR, who are also struggling in this division, and then it's a Tuesday night trip to Portsmouth. So win this, and suddenly the whole season looks very, very different. Johannes Hoff-Torp, starting to get his players back, starting to get some ammunition back. That's really important. And let's see how we can kick on from here. Let me know your score predictions down in the comments section below. How would you set up the side? I think the only kind of difference for me is it's probably a midfield of McLean, Slimane and Marcondes. I wouldn't start Jakob Sorensen. You've got Nunes to come off the bench. Other than that, it's pretty much the same for me from Tuesday night. Maybe Fisher returns in for Ben Crescene, but we shall see. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon.